The Spanish people have long had an idea that there are moments in a man's life when the scales of life and death balance precariously even. Momentos de verdad, they call it. Moments of truth. My name is Bill Negley. I'm a Texan, and I've had a lifetime of experiences that have brought me to the edge of death and back again. This is my story. I'll tell it in my own words about the life that I have led these past 20 years. Recurve is an island that lies about 15 miles off the western coast of Panama in Central America. The island contains a penal colony. It houses some pretty rough characters. But we haven't come here to break anybody out or serve time ourselves. No, sir. Our hope is to catch the great Pacific sailfish with light fly fishing tackle. One of the world's best fishing clubs is located on Recurve, Club Pacifico. You know, I really love fishing. I love the heart-lifting excitement of firmly hooking a big fish. But that's not really my first love. I have to confess that bow and arrow hunting has been a way of life with me for over 20 years. I've hunted heavy game in situations where most people feel I was crazy for not going in with a gun. But now, 20 years later, am I still sound enough to handle the 100-pound bow? I've done it more years than any other bow hunter, living or dead. Can I do it one more time? Or should I call it quits? Some people say porpoises have developed their own language. I wish I could get them to tell me where those big sails are. Getting yourself ready to fly fish for sail requires a little ritual each time you go out, making sure that nothing is tangled or snarled during our hour-long trip to the fishing grounds off Recurve. Today, while we are fishing for these sails, I'll be giving them a good chance to escape. Maybe too good, my Panamanian boatman Benito says. I'll be fishing with a 10-pound tippet, a 1-foot section test piece in the middle of the leader. After I've finished my preparation, Benito tosses out the teasers to attract the sailfish. Fishing is a great unwinder as you watch and wait, trying to catch sight of a dorsal fin breaking the surface of the water. You get a great opportunity to relax, even do some old-fashioned daydreaming. It's been a long time since I experienced that first moment of truth with my bow. 1957 it was. In the spring of that year, we flew into Nairobi and booked into the classic old Norfolk Hotel. We were outfitting for an unusual hunt, a hunt that would see a wager won or lost. The whole thing started with my feeling that our dwindling supply of game animals need a more even chance. Long-experienced riflemen like myself should lay down the rifle, a fearfully powerful weapon these days, and either limit ourselves to the primitive bow and arrow, or leave the animals alone. These thoughts, expounded over many martinis one evening amongst friends, led to a bet. $10,000 to $1,000. My good friend, fisherman and conservationist Bill Carpenter of Wilmington, Delaware, offered this wager that I could not bring down a mature bull elephant with nothing but a bow and arrow. I accepted, and after 9 months of training, the hunt was on. In those days, game was plentiful and magnificent. We passed by Ripon Falls, the headwaters of the Nile. As we proceeded through the countryside to our hunting site, I thought about my friend's words that the bow was useless against elephant. Maybe he was right. It had never been done before. The Ancole cattle reminded me of good old Texas longhorns, a bit of home in the middle of Africa. Finally, after several days of hard traveling through the Ruwenzori, Mountains of the Moon, our expedition tied down in the Semiliki River Valley. I immediately struck out on my own to scout the terrain. In the Congo, then, large herds of forest elephants roam freely. Although their ivory is not as heavy as the savanna elephants, they offered me a fair challenge to face the largest land animal on Earth with a bow and arrow. Up to a point, these elephants are approachable because of their poor eyesight. But you cannot get too close or they will charge, especially the cows. From the beginning, I learned that practice and more practice is absolutely essential in order to maintain good hunting discipline. Once you're face to face with your target, there is no time to wonder about your technique. The act of shooting has to be automatic, or else you will find yourself in deep trouble. My bow was especially designed for me by the world-famous archer Fred Bear. Fred's blessing made me feel a bit more confident. If he felt I could get an elephant with a bow of his, well then why shouldn't I feel the same way? From the Walangulu tribe, a group notorious for their unlawful ivory poaching, Eric Rundgren, my Kenya-born and raised guide, suggested I let Duo try his skill at pulling Fred Bear's bow. And he did real well, even though his style was a little less than classic. Finally, we were off across the countryside, making our own roads as we went. Our hunting methods were simple. Accompanied by Duo, I would attempt to approach an elephant, a bull, who stood somewhat apart from the herd. Then we would creep up as close as I felt was necessary to release a shot into the beast's lungs. An arrow in the lungs is always fatal, and it's the best way to bring down any large animal with a bow. That's where the challenge lies. With a gun, you can stand 50, 60 yards away and blast your quarry down in the head, in the heart, in the guts. But with the bow, you must approach very close in order to obtain a fatal shot. And of course, then the animal has a chance of spotting you, letting you know that he's there, sometimes to scare hell out of you. A week later, my chance finally came. A good bull watered at the river's edge. I took aim. I sighted down on him. A line seemed to form in front of my eyes, and I felt I could direct my arrow straight to its target almost by willpower. There was nothing in that forest except me and that elephant. I released. My arrow struck him in the right lung, a deadly shot. We were able to locate him by following the gathering vultures. He was a fine animal. I guessed him to be about 40 years old, about my own age. The point was proven. Elephant can be hunted successfully with a bow. And besides that, I could now give $10,000 to our city museum in San Antonio. It was quite a moment for me. I returned home to Texas a changed man. Never